Right, hello guys, and this is another tutorial video that I'm going to be doing. We're going to try and make some form of forest scenery. I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to be recording it literally as I'm going along. First thing you're going to need though is some, what's this called again? MDF. This one is about 6mm thick. My local DIY store does offcuts of it. You can sometimes get a big sheet for like 50 pence or something. It's like a 2 foot by 2 foot sheet for about 50-60 pence. This one, just randomly cut a shape with a jigsaw power tool, and then literally Stanley knife, slice the edges off like that. You can sand it down with a bit of sandpaper as well, just to make it nice and smooth. I don't mind so much though, because it's going to look quite rough and ready to game when we're finished with it. Now, some of the things that we're going to need: good old friend PVA glue. We're going to need some building sand, some sharp sand rather, which is what we used in my basic tutorial video. So I keep a nice big tub of it here. We then need black spray paint, and the first stage is to make it look like this. This is one I did earlier at the tap moment. So on top of that, we're also going to need some white acrylic paint and some grey acrylic paint, the same ones as I used in the basic tutorial, so please go and check that one out. In addition to that, flock. This is Woodland Scenics blended turf. Another thing that we could use is army paint or static grass. That would be the main part of the base. Now there's a couple of different things that we can then do from that point onwards. And one thing that I will be doing will be using these trees that you can get in hobby stores. They're more realistic rather than sci-fi, so it depends on what type of gaming board you're going for. So I'll be making one with a couple of these on. And another option is fish tank plants. This one I got from Wilkinson's for £2.50. You can get bigger ones for about a £5. Another thing that you can do is household plants from B&M. This one, as you can see, £3. Quite a lot on there. Chop some of that up and put it on. So once your base is like this, cover it in PVA glue, and then do this outside or in a box or something where you don't mind getting the extra spillage from the sand. Absolutely bomb it in sand. Let it dry for about 24 hours. You come back and it will be solid. Then spray it black. And that's what you end up with. The next stage is to dry brush this all grey. So we'll come back to you after I've started dry brushing that. Right, so as you can see, I'm doing two here. I'm dry brushing here with the grey. If you've never done dry brushing before, load your brush up with paint and then wipe it off just on some tissue until it appears dry. Then all you do, quickly just going over the surface there, not pressing too hard or anything, just so that you're picking all the raised bits of the sand up and just accenting all of the sand, and the picks out the all the larger bits quite nicely. You want to do it reasonably heavy so that it changes the colour completely of the base, but not so heavy that it paints everything in between the gaps. So I'm doing two here at once, like I said, as I'm going to look to do two different types of bases. And as you can see here, all the sand is covered all the way along the beveled edge that I cut with the Stanley knife earlier, just to get it to blend in with my table. Now my table is quite green and quite grey, and the reason I'm doing this as grey as where I am is because I'm now going to cover or the next stage would be to cover a lot of it with the turf and the static grass. Before I jump to that though, we're now going to do the exact same technique that we've just done there, but we're going to do it with the white this time. So I'll come back when I'm almost done with the white. Right guys, so welcome back. Almost done with the white here, as you can see. So we're just doing this one a lot lighter than what we did the grey one. This is just to pick up the very, very highlights of the rocks, just to accent them even further. If there's any little streaks in there, like you can see that one, it doesn't look too bad in person, but stands out quite a bit on camera. Don't worry about it. We'll cover it over with the flock and everything. So I would say that is now that about done. So I've done that with both bases, as you can see. So the next stage that we're going to do, I'm tempted to put the plants on now and then put the flock around the plants. So what we're going to do is, for these fish tank plants, we're going to have to cut them out of this at the base because this is it's solid. These ones, just cut them straight off with a pair of scissors or a pair of clippers. And the trees, obviously, we can just glue them straight on. So we'll come back when I'm ready to glue them on with me hot glue gun. Right guys, so welcome back. I've chopped up one of the plants, just cut it off right at the stem. Got a few little bits here from that one. Some of the red ones I've chopped out. And some of these as well. So what the aim now, I just dropped one, while my glue gun is warming up, is basically we're going to put some drops of hot glue on here and just basically plonk these into the glue, and then I'll do the other one with the trees. So let's see if the glue gun is ready. I'll just put a nice little globule of it there. There we go. It's maybe not quite hot enough yet. Doesn't appear to want to stick. Please ignore Facebook. And what I'm doing here is just forming them all together at the base. Just so that it looks as though it's all coming from the one plant. So that's going to take a few seconds to set. Let's move that one out the way. There we go, there's that one starting to set already. I think we'll go for the next one about here in the middle. So let's put a nice lump of glue there. I think we'll go for the tall red ones now. I just realised that one might not sit very well. What I've done is I've just bent the bottom of that so that it sits nice in the middle of the glue there. Put a bit more on around it. Put the others in there as well. Let's give that a few seconds to set. Forgot how long this actually takes to cool down and set. But yeah, that's what you want to do. Just put a nice big lump of it in, and then stick a couple of the bits and pieces of plants on there. bunch them together near the bottom so it looks as though they're grown all from one stem. And what I would say is leave enough space for minis to get through. Obviously, depending on how thick or dense you want them for like bikes and things like that. So I'll continue doing this and we'll come back once I've glued some more onto this base. Right guys, welcome back, and as you can see, this is what I've glued down so far. Now that the hot glue's set a little bit. Obviously it can take a little bit more time than what I did. I was rushing slightly due to running out of things to say. And yes, hot glue creates some lovely stringy strands. So that's the one with the fish tank plants. I've left a couple of gaps here as I'm just going to add a few extra bits and pieces onto it. Like some slate. Now I'm thinking that those pieces are probably a little bit too big. Well, maybe not. Not if they're on the end. Yeah, I quite like that there. So I'm going to probably stick that down with the hot glue gun. I've also done this one with the normal trees just to create a kind of a little grove there as well. So what I'll do now is I'm going to stick some of this slate down and then hit some pieces of it with a hammer just to break it up into slightly smaller bits. I've then got some of my stones which I'm going to glue down as well. So what I'll do is I'll put maybe one or two around just the edge of the bases there. So just like that. And then once we've done that, we'll then move on to the flocks. So I'll come back after I've glued some of them down. Right guys, so welcome back. As you can see, I've glued some bits of slate down here. I think it just gives it a very kind of natural, kind of meadow, rocky area, something that, like you'd see in like Skyrim or something. Obviously minus the snow. It just makes it look more like a natural grove with trees growing there, I think. And this one's a little bit more alien-like, just adding a couple of rocks around the bases here, and these ones over the top here. I like using slate. You can get slate in different colours. This is just out of a giant bag from Builders Merchant again. You can get a big bag. I think they're about £5 or £6, but you get a massive bag. You can get blue, green, and this is actually plum slate. So what I'm going to do now is just start and cover. Maybe it's about half of it, maybe slightly less, in PVA glue so that we can then cover it with flocks. So I've got some PVA on a little pallet here. Just starting to add it to the areas that you want to cover. And obviously depending on how overgrown you want it, you can cover the rock. Let's bring that a bit closer. Cover the rock a little bit up the side just to... And then when you obviously put the flock on, it would cover that area there. So I know before I said I don't really like using the PVA glue with flock. I like using super glue. For this, because it's such a large area, you don't really have much of a choice. You would use an absolute ton of super glue. But what I'm going to do is around the bottom of each of the plants is get quite, let's turn that around, get quite a large area of it, and make sure there's plenty of greenery around that section, just so that when you come to put the flock on, it's nice and covered. Now obviously there is quite a lot of lumps and bumps there with the hot glue, which is fine, because when you cover it up, just looks like it's a bit more mossy than what it was previously, and a little bit more overgrown. I just ran out of PVA. Let's put some more down. So it depends on how much green you want on as to how much PVA to put on at this stage, essentially. Like I said, I'm going to do about half of mine, I reckon. So what we'll do is I'll put the rest of the PVA glue on, and then I'll come back to you literally just as I'm about to cover it in flock. But as you can see, I'm going to be covering quite a bit area. I'm going to do the same with the trees over there as well, so we'll come back to you shortly with that. Right guys, so covered a few areas in PVA there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bomb it with flock, but so that I don't get it all over my desk and I can still reuse it, I'm going to put it in a box. So I'm just going to lift this into the box like so, and then I'm going to put the flock on the PVA glued areas. Just like that. Make sure you put plenty on, as the PVA does soak through, and obviously gives it that little bit raised area as well. Don't be frightened to put a lot on, because like I said, if it's in the box, it can easily be shaken off, and then the box can just be simply poured back in to the tub. So I'm just going to go around and cover each of these like this, just making sure you get not obviously loads over the top, but just enough to cover the area and give the PVA a little bit of time just to soak through. There we go. So that's the first one. What we'll do is I'll do the second one now anyway. I won't be able to show you because obviously I can't get it in the box there as well. But what I'm going to do is let that dry and come back to it in a few hours and just tap the excess off. So we'll come back to you in a couple of hours. Right guys, so here we go. Here's the second one that I've done. So after it's dried considerably, just lift it up, tap it off. There we go. And because I've got that in the box, I can literally pour that straight back into my tub. But there you go. So just pour straight out the box back into my tub. Oop. And drop some where it shouldn't go, but never mind. So as you can see, that's come up quite nice, I think. Quite a lot of green on there. Nice areas around by the slate and everything. I'll just pass the other one. Here's the other one. So yeah, I think that's quite nice apart from the string of hot glue there, but I'll get that off once we're finished. Now, this is the point where the detail's really going to make a difference, because, yeah, this looks nice, but what I'm going to do is I've got some of this. I bought it with, alongside the blended turf that you see there, and I forget what it's called, but it's almost like a green spongy type material, and it's moss basically, but not lichen like what I used on the bases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of this on. I'm going to add some static grass on, and we'll add some lichen on as well. Now for this, I'm definitely going to be using super glue for this, because PVA would take a long time to dry, and it would soak through too easily, I think. So this is why I'm going to use the super glue for it. So we'll move this one out of the way, and we'll work on this one here. So what I'm going to do first is I think some here will probably look quite nice. So a couple of dabs of super glue there. Actually come a bit further along as well. And then I'm just going to stick some of that there. Now, luckily the super glue soaks through this enough that it will hold a few pieces together without it soaking all the way through. So we've got some there. I'll stick some under here. There we go. and stick some there. Now obviously it's up to you how much you want, depending on how mossy you want to go. Yeah, I think that looks canny. So I'm going to do the same with the other one as well, and then I'll show you about putting some static grass on. Right guys, so here we go. As you can see, I've put some bits of moss down on there. It's starting to look quite natural as well. So the next stage will be some static grass. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put the put this in a box so that any excess rolls over into the box, and I can put that back into my tub. Here's the other one that I've done as well. I haven't put quite as much moss on this one, as this one was a little bit more open, less forested area. So I'm going to use the same principles as what we've just done for the flock. I'm going to use super glue for the static grasses. Like I said in the basin video, I think the super glue just seems to work better for the static grasses, seems to really stand the grass on end. So I'm going to put some along the edge there, do a patch in the middle, we'll do some along here, and I'm going to do that before the glue dries. And with the static grass, I find it's better to kind of put quite a big lump on like that and kind of pat it down into place rather than just sprinkling and then leaving. So what we'll do is I'll go around the rest of that, and then we'll come back when I come to get the excess off. Right, so welcome back. I've put the static grass on around the sides here, across the top, and just on the rocks at the back here, some in this gap here. So what I'm going to be doing now is just showing you how I get it off. It's basically a case of literally tip it up, tap it all back off. Let's give it a tap down into the box there. And some of that's come up quite nice if it can focus. There you go. And in the rocks and everything as well. Got some down there I need to tap off. And just some around the rock there as well. So now that all that's off, obviously you can see it all in the tray there. I literally pick it up and put it straight back in the tub. There is one more stage that I'm going to be doing, so we'll show you what that is. Right guys, so welcome back. Sorry about the light, it is starting to get dark outside, so I've put my lamp on. Hopefully you can still see enough of the details. So as you can see here, there's just a little bit of grass here, and there's a little piece in there as well. There you go, some more there as well. So that's the meadowy type bit, and then on this one got the grass here. So the next stage I'm going to do is lichen or lichen, however you want to pronounce it. I tend to get mine off eBay. I think I got about 6 of these little bags for a few pounds. I'm getting all sorts of different colours. The ones I bought were greens. If you've seen me dark Eldar, my Eldar though, you'll know I've got some red and white. So I'm going to be putting some of the green on here. I have used super glue on me modelling bases for the lichen before, because it's smaller, it's easier, it's just a lot quicker. But for this, I find the quickest and easiest way to do it on larger pieces like this is to actually use the glue gun again. So we're just going to add a few bits and pieces of lichen to different places around the bases of the trees and stuff mainly. So let's put a bit there. So just a little dab of glue. That's the only disadvantage of our glue guns. Very stringy. But there we go. And then round this side, I think we'll maybe just put a piece here. Go a bit darker for this one. There we go. And what I tend to find is less is more. You don't want too much, but you want enough to be able to cover things and just make it really stand out. So we'll put in one more piece there, I think. Let's go for a darker piece. The plant there is already quite bright, so we'll go for the darker piece of lichen. There we go. I'll then move on to the next piece. Well, where do we reckon? Probably down here, just in the little alcove there of the rock. And I think probably a bright piece there. Two small bright pieces. And just get them wedged in there. And maybe, I don't know, I don't think this one needs too much. I'll probably put a piece here. And there we go. So, I think that looks quite nice. You've got the slate, you've got grass, you've got moss, you've got lichen. And this one's just a bit more open with a few exotic plants there. And some nice pieces of slate. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. It hasn't taken me very long by spending actual time doing these. They're very, very quick. Most of it's already made. The longest bit's obviously waiting for the glue to dry between the adding the flock and adding the sand at the beginning. So if you like what you see, I'm hoping to do some more. I've got some citadel ruins I need to paint up, so we'll maybe do a tutorial on that. And keep an eye out though, because I'm going to be painting up some more minis over the next couple of weeks, so we'll hopefully try and get a few tutorials about painting minis up as well. So please like, subscribe, and keep the support up. Really appreciate all the comments and everything that everybody's given, so thank you very much.